Hi, welcome to the Alligator Station. My name's Ranger Patty, and we're going to be talking about one of our most famous residents, the American alligator. Now, Everglades National Park is famous for being the home of these amazing creatures, but we're even luckier than all other places around the world because not only do we get alligators, we get crocodiles too. And this is the only place in the world where you can find that naturally occurring. Alligators and crocodiles sometimes living side by side. Now, one important thing we have to learn is how to tell the difference, because if we're going out on that trail, we need to know what kind of animal we're looking at. So, can you tell me a few ways that we can tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? We've got a picture here of a crocodile and an alligator. We can compare the shape of their snouts. The alligator has that broad U-shaped snout, while the crocodile has a more pointed V-shaped snout. Another way we can tell them apart is their skin colors. Now, even though all the cartoons show alligators as green, we actually say their color is black, and you can definitely see that in this picture here. So don't listen to those cartoons because their color is actually black, right? Now, crocodiles take on a lighter color, could be a green, gray, and browns mixed in, but they're overall more lightly skin colored than the alligator. Another way we can tell them apart is the way their teeth are closing on one another. And we can see that with this model skull right here. Now, alligators, they've got overbites, right? So their top teeth show, but their bottom teeth are hidden away just underneath their upper jaw. Now, crocodiles, they show all their teeth when they're looking at you. They want you to see all their pearly whites. So you're going to see all of their teeth. If we had a crocodile skull, they would close perfectly on one another. So they've got a bite that closes just like that, while the alligator's got that overbite. Another way we can tell them apart is what kind of habitat, particularly water, they prefer. Alligators, they only live in fresh water. That's the only water they can live in their entire lives. Now, crocodiles, they've got an advantage there. They can live in salt or fresh. We normally find them in salty ecosystems, like the mangroves down in Flamingo of Everglades National Park and Gulf Coast. So they can deal with that salty water, while alligators, not so much. So now that we know a few ways to tell these two creatures apart, we're going to talk about the skin of the alligator and some cool adaptations they have. Now, alligators have a really interesting adaptation when it comes to being cold-blooded. We're going to pull out our alligator skin here for the big reveal. So we've got our big alligator skin. They can see that color that we were talking about, that darker hue to them. Now, if we look at these alligators, their adaptations, right, they've got many, but one particular one that we can see on their bodies are these spiky looking things on their backs. These are called scutes, right? Now, scutes are within the scales of the alligator. Picture having bones inside of your skin. So this can definitely act as an armor, but it actually behaves like a solar panel. Now, being a cold-blooded creature, having solar panels all over your backside is pretty convenient, especially when there's a cold front coming through the Everglades. So alligators come out of the water and they bask, and their scutes warm up in the sun, and the blood can pool in the little indents found on these individual bones, and that'll warm up a little more, right? That panel is that bone heating up quite a bit, and the blood will continue to run through their bodies, warming them up. And then when they're all good to go, they can go back into the water or continue basking for the rest of the day, whatever that alligator needs. So these scutes are one adaptation that alligators have when it comes to being a reptile. Now, this is the part of the station where the kids will get to touch the alligator skin. They're going to use 2 fingers, and they can run their fingers down the back of the alligator to feel those scutes and really put into perspective that adaptation and why it's there, right? And you can mention once again that it is armor as well, because these alligators are going up against one another for territory and mates. So it's important to have some armor included as well as your adaptation. Alligators, they play a really big role in the Everglades. They are the top dog out here when it comes to our food web, but besides being that top dog, they do something that helps the entire food web survive the harsh dry season. Now, the dry and the wet season are really distinct times of year. The dry season, we actually have a lot more wildlife, but if there's not enough water, those birds and turtles and snakes may not survive the droughts that we experience here in the Everglades. But the alligator actually helps these animals out in the dry season by constructing what we call an alligator hole. Now, an alligator makes its own pool of water because it knows there will be a dry season, and a good way to save some water is to dig out a nice big hole and have that water pool for the rest of the dry season. Now, who's going to survive off that alligator hole? Is it just the alligator? Definitely not. Fish, birds, turtles, everything that needs water to survive will come to that alligator hole for a source of water or food. That alligator is playing a really important role because without the alligator hole, there would be much less life existing out here in the Everglades. So picture a bunch of alligators making a bunch of alligator holes all across the Everglades. That's pretty good when you think about it. Now, this alligator hole, right, is securing the survival for lots of other animals in the Everglades. So that makes it the key to survival in the Everglades. Well, we've got a way of showing just how important the alligator is in the Everglades. We call alligators Keystone species. Without them, there would be no Everglades. Maybe the Everglades we see today wouldn't look the same. Maybe we wouldn't have as many animals. So that alligator is that keystone allowing these animals to survive and stay here and feed their babies throughout that dry season. This little structure here can be created to visualize that keystone that it is. So you're going to have different blocks with different animals or plants on them, and the students are going to be able to build an arc. Right? So you're going to go from the smallest animals or plants to the biggest, building an actual food web in a way. And they're going to put it all together like an arch right there. And this can then be moved right on top of here. Could fix it up a little bit. And we now have a visual of this key that the alligator plays, because it's all put together, right, with that alligator as the center stone right there. But if we were to take it away, it would all fall apart. So we want to end on that note that without the alligator, the Everglades would not be the same.